Number 1, blind. Imagine being so incredibly talented that you could shoot a fly off a moving horse from 3 miles away, yet you're still technically considered a sensory toddler. Welcome to the life of mere mortals like Clint Barton, a man who has mastered the art of looking at things really hard without actually seeing what's going on behind the curtain. For guys like Hawkeye or Frank Castle, reality is very simple. Three-dimensional box made of things you can kick, smell, or shoot. They are the ultimate masters of the 5 basic senses, reaching levels of physical peak performance that make Olympic athletes look like they're moving through syrup. Clint can track the specific rotation of a quarter flipped into the air while dodging a barrage of gunfire, which I think is an amazing trick for a human being. However, in the grand cosmic neighborhood of the Marvel Universe, he is basically a goldfish in a bowl trying to understand the architectural blueprints of the house the bowl sits on. If a group of interdimensional sorcerers decide to hold a heavy metal concert on the astral plane right in the middle of Frank Castle's safe house, Frank would just keep cleaning his guns in total silence. He would see Doctor Strange standing in the corridor looking like he was having a very intense silent argument with a ghost, but Frank would never feel a single vibration. This tier is defined by a massive glaring inability to perceive anything that doesn't have a physical weight or a smell. It creates a funny sort of tension during those giant crossover events where the sky turns the color of a bruised plum and the stars start disappearing like blown out candles. While the high tier heroes are out there debating the collapse of reality, the blind tier characters are usually just standing on a roof somewhere looking very confused, and probably just reloading their crossbows. During the massive multiversal collision, known as incursions in the famous Secret Wars event, Hawkeye and Black Widow were just going about their daily business, completely oblivious to the fact that their entire existence was about to be deleted by a parallel Earth. They have zero connection to the fundamental energies that hold the world together, making them the ultimate reactionary observers who only realize the house is on fire when their pants start smelling like smoke. Frank Castle would walk through a hallway packed with invisible soul-eating demons, and he wouldn't feel a single chill down his spine unless, of course, one of them physically tripped him. This total lack of awareness makes these street-level legends incredibly easy to prank if you happen to be a reality warper with a mean streak. They are the brave ants of the cosmos who spend their whole lives avoiding the sidewalk cracks without ever realizing there's a giant foot coming down from the clouds. In a world where energy flows like a river and magic is as real as gravity, these guys are just trying to find a good parking spot. It is a humble existence where you only believe in what you can punch in the face. I guess being able to see a flea's eyelashes doesn't help much when the entire galaxy decides to go through a midlife crisis. Level 2, Extrasensory Instinct. There is a very specific type of headache that only happens when a giant robot is about to fall on your head from 3 blocks away. This level of awareness belongs to the urban legends like Spider-Man and Daredevil, who have moved past the basic human starter pack of senses and unlocked a weird buzzing VIP pass to reality. Peter Parker is the gold standard here because his spider sense is not just a fancy reflex that helps him find his keys. It is actually a low-level biological Wi-Fi connection to a multiversal structure called the Web of Life and Destiny, which honestly sounds way more poetic than creepy bug feeling. He could feel a threat coming before the person doing the threatening has even finished their cup of coffee. On top of that, he has sensed the arrival of mystical predators like Morlun days before they actually showed up on his doorstep. It is a primal, twitchy kind of awareness that tells him he is being watched by a hidden camera or a magical crystal ball, even if there is no physical sound or light to give it away. But here's the catch. It is a very localized and frustratingly vague alarm system. His brain basically screams that something bad's happening, but it doesn't bother to tell him if it is a sniper bullet or Phantom coming for the Phantom tax. He knows he needs to move right now, but he is usually guessing about the why until the what actually hits him. Then you have Matt Murdock, who turned a tragic chemical accident into the world's most sensitive 360-degree mapping software. Daredevil can hear a liar's heart skip a beat, sense the exact destiny of a wall to find the weakest brick, making him a walking, breathing sonar machine. What makes it even crazier is that he perceives the world as a shifting landscape of heat, air pressure and vibrations that most people completely ignore. However, both of these guys are still stuck in a terrestrial bubble. If a massive fleet of alien warships suddenly parked behind the moon, Daredevil would be completely clueless until the ships entered the atmosphere and start pushing the air around. They are the apex predators of Earth's streets, sensing every tiny shift in their immediate environment. But they are still deaf to the deeper music of the universe. They can feel the air get cold when a portal opens, but they have no idea what the portal is or where it leads. They are effectively the world's most sensitive smoke detectors in a house that is currently being haunted by a ghost. It honestly is a massive step up from being blind, but they're still just reacting to the ripples in the pond instead of seeing the person throwing the rocks. That's why having a sixth sense is great until you realize it mostly just tells you that you're about to get hit by something you still can't see. Number 3, stellar awareness. Suppose your eyes were so sensitive that you could hear a glass of water breaking in the kitchen 3 solar systems over. This is where we leave the neighborhood heroes behind and enter the realm of the Silver Surfer, a guy who views the entire universe like a high-definition interactive digital map. When Norrin Rad got a dose of the power cosmic, his senses stopped caring about things like the speed of light or the limits of a human eyeball. He doesn't just look at a star. He perceives the exact amount of hydrogen it has left and the gravitational pull it exerts on planets light years away. This level of awareness is essentially a constant galactic scale live stream of everything happening in space. When a planet gets swallowed by a black hole or a civilization gets wiped out, the surfer doesn't read about it in the news, he feels the actual ripple in the cosmic fabric as if someone poked him in the eye. During the Infinity Gauntlet, while the rest of the galaxy was waiting for radio signals, the Heralds already knew billions of lives had been extinguished because the vibe of the universe suddenly shifted. On top of that, he could track the energy signature of a ship through hyperspace, which is basically like smelling a single drop of perfume in the middle of a hurricane. He can also zoom in so far that he sees the subatomic structure of things, allowing him to tell the difference between a natural cold and a man-made virus just by glancing at a person. What makes this even crazier is that he understands the why behind the energy. If a dimensional rift opens up, he doesn't just get a tingle in his head like Spider-Man. He identifies the exact radiation type and knows it's coming from the negative zone before he even gets close. This classification turns the universe from a scary dark vacuum into a readable landscape where energy flows like bright rivers. He is the ultimate cosmic scout, someone who can hear the cry for help from a dying star and know exactly which direction to fly. He isn't just watching the movie. He can see the individual pixels in the projector lens at the same time. This is the first level where a character isn't just a guest in the universe, but someone who truly speaks its language. It makes the world feel very small and very busy, which probably explains why the surfer spends so much time looking moody on his surfboard. He knows too much, sees too much, and probably needs a very long nap in a quiet, dark room with no energy signatures. I can't help but think that it must be really hard to enjoy a quiet dinner when you can hear every single atom in the quadrant screaming for attention. Level 4, Universal Consciousness. Imagine if your nervous system was so big that you didn't just feel an itch on your arm, but you also felt a supernova in a distant galaxy, because that galaxy is technically your left pinky toe. This is the level of the abstract entities, where the line between being alive and being the universe completely disappears. Who is literally the physical embodiment of everything that exists within the Marvel Universe. For him, sensing things isn't an external action, it is just internal awareness, like how you know where your hands are without looking at them. He doesn't need to scan for a threat because if a threat exists, it is happening inside his own body. Then you have Galactus, who is like the cosmic landlord who knows exactly when you haven't paid your rent. He has a level of cosmic consciousness that lets him sense the fundamental balance of the universe, knowing when there's too much life or too much death. What makes it even crazier is that Galactus can sense the destiny of specific people, which is why he usually avoids stepping on Reed Richards like a bug. He sees the importance of individuals in the grand timeline as if they were bright glowing plot points in a book. When Thanos got his hands on the Infinity Gauntlet, Eternity was the first one to realize the hierarchy of the universe had been flipped upside down. He didn't have to go looking for the stones, he felt the actual source code of his existence being edited in real time. Unlike the Silver Surfer, who is a very fast traveler, eternity is already everywhere at once within his own reality. Every thought, every atom, and every weird little secret you have is technically happening inside his mind. There is no hiding, no sneaking around, and no surprise parties when you're dealing with a being who is the room you are standing in. He perceives every single timeline, every tiny vibration across the entire 616 universe simultaneously. It is a passive total awareness that makes privacy a completely dead concept on a cosmic scale. If you become important enough to the story of the universe, eternity knows about it the second it happens. He is the ultimate sentient wallpaper, watching every single thing that goes on within its four walls without ever having to turn his head. It is a level of sensitivity that turns the entire universe into one giant interconnected organism where nothing goes unnoticed. I guess it's pretty hard to keep a secret when your entire life is just a stray thought in some giant blue guy's head. Level 5, Multiversal Omnipotence. If you're thinking managing one universe is a headache, try being the guy who has to make sure thousands of them aren't accidentally bumping into each other like bumper cars. This is the office of the Living Tribunal, the supreme judge who sits above the entire multiverse and answers only to the ultimate boss. His sensitivity is not tied to just one timeline. He perceives the entire omniverse as a single massive structure. He exists in every single universe at the same time, which means his awareness is basically a giant grid that covers every possible what-if scenario ever created. When Adam Warlock grabbed the Infinity Gauntlet, the Living Tribunal didn't even blink at first because he could sense that it was just a local mess that didn't threaten the balance of the bigger picture. He's the one who senses when magic from one reality starts leaking into another like a leaky pipe. What makes it even crazier is how he processes all this data through his three different faces: equity, necessity, and vengeance. He doesn't just know an event is happening, he weighs the moral and logical impact of that event across infinite realities all at once. He hears the song of the entire multiverse and can pick out one single wrong note in a sea of billions. Then you have the Beyonders, the ivory-skinned architects who decide to go on a killing spree against the abstract entities. To pull that off, they had to be able to sense the exact location of every version of eternity across every single timeline simultaneously. It's basically a level of awareness that makes the Silver Surfer look like a gaming noob. The Living Tribunal perceives the friction between different dimensions and can tell when a reality is going rogue before the people in that reality even realize they exist. He isn't just looking at the map. He is looking at the entire library of maps and sensing when one of the pages gets a tiny tear. This is a horizontal type of infinite awareness where every version of you is being watched at the same time. There's no such thing as a secret in any corner of any reality when the Golden Giant is on the clock. He is the ultimate multiversal auditor who knows exactly how much cosmic energy is being spent and where it's going. Though I'd say it must be exhausting to be a cosmic judge when you have to watch 1 billion versions of the same movie at once. Level 6, Absolute Omniscience. We have finally reached the top floor of the building, where the guy who owns the company sits in a room with no windows because he already knows exactly what the weather's like. This is the realm of the one above all, the literal creator of everything you have ever seen in a comic book. At this level, sensing and knowing are the exact same thing, because there is nothing to sense that he didn't already put there. He doesn't have to look for information because the information is him. While the Living Tribunal has to sit there and deliberate like a judge in a wig, the one above all just exists as the absolute truth. When he showed up to talk to Peter Parker, well, disguised as a homeless man, he didn't need to read Peter's mind to know what he was thinking. He knew every grief, every thought, and every possible future Peter could ever have because he's the one who typed the words. It's the difference between a character in a video game looking at the map and the person who wrote the code for the map. He perceives the entire Marvel multiverse the same way an author perceives a book they finished writing years ago. He knows what happens on the last page while he's looking at the first. What makes it even crazier is that he is aware of the story itself, meaning he can see right through the fourth wall and look at the readers. He doesn't just feel energy or vibrations. He feels the narrative flow of why things are happening in the first place. Even when cosmic powerhouses like the Living Tribunal get confused or overwhelmed, the one above all remains the quiet background that everything else is painted on. There's no hiding, no trickery, and no such thing as a surprise when you're dealing with the source of all existence. He's the one who stands outside the system looking in, whereas everyone else is just a part of the machine. He knows every atom, every thought, and every ending before it even starts. This is the absolute ceiling of sensitivity, where the observer is also the creator, the judge, and the audience all wrapped into one. It is a level of awareness so high that it makes the word awareness feel like a massive understatement. At least when you're literally God, you never have to worry about someone spoiling the ending of your favorite show for you. Well, that's it for this one. If you liked the video, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and ring the bell so you never miss a drop. Craving more stories from comics, movies, and beyond? Check out this video right here. Cheers and see you in the next one.